Hello, it is Blueies and Shoeies. You're back with Pooch previewing Game Week 5 of the Rugby Championship. The Springboks versus Los Pumas, the RGs, as well as the highly anticipated Bledisloe Cup. I will jump really into the Springbok camp, discussing big news in terms of Siya Kolisi, Eben and Feinberg-Mngomezulu, previewing the game and what we can expect, as well as my take on the Bledisloe Cup. I'll jump straight into it. Siya Kolisi has re-signed with the Sharks. Great news for Springbok fans that the captain of the Springboks will be locally based, be able to be managed in terms of game time, be closer to the ground in a Springbok-littered Sharks team that should have a really good run at the URC this year. He was obviously heavily criticised as being transparent by the Racing owner. He is one of many Springboks, one of many international superstars that have copped abuse from their respective French owners. If you recall, Julian Sevilla, the bus, the rampaging All Black winger. The Toulon owner said at the time that he would like a DNA test because he must have sent an identical twin who could not play nearly as good as the Julian Sevilla, who got off to a really rough start with Toulon. Eben and Feinberg again was criticised in France. He was obviously eager to return home as his late father was ill, equally carried a couple of niggles in terms of injury. Quay Cooper, the great Ma Nonu, also copped some flack from the Toulon owner, and Cheslin Colby, who had developed a phenomenal reputation in the top 14 with one of, in my opinion, one of the greatest club teams of all time, with Toulouse, Romain Ntamak, Jerome Kano, Cyril Bai, Muvaka, Dupont. Cheslin Colby was one of the superstars of that team, which went on to win the European Cup, top 14 titles. His big money move to Toulon, yet again, with a bit of injury, and ultimately a key part that would have affected Siya Kolisi was the South African Springbok rugby calendar does not work with the top 14 league. The commitment to play for the Springboks, the rugby calendar, just does not coordinate with the top 14. And those billionaire owners, those billionaire French owners, the erratic French, want their pound of flesh. And if you do deliver, you could be lauded, praised, seen as an icon. There have been many notable ones. We think about the great Toulon Galacticos, Brian Abana, revered in Toulon. Johnny Wilkinson, lauded as the great Johnny. And of course, Big Joe van Niekerk was inducted into the Toulon Hall of Fame as an absolute instrumental player in the success in a team that boasted superstars from across the globe. We spoke a little bit earlier about Eben and Feinberg. He is on track to break the great Victor Matfield's Springbok Test appearance record. Is there a better player to hold such a record? The man who is a combination of South Africa's greatest lock combination, the brute force of a Bucky's Botha, finessed, molded with the athletic and finesse ability, the game management, the smarts of a Victor Matfield. has surely made him one of the all-time greatest rugby players, and certainly one of Springboks' greatest players they've ever produced. Congratulations to Eben. There was a sound clip. What I really liked about those sound clips that were released by Heineke Meyer in congratulating Eben on this milestone achievement was not only what he is and what we all know as an outstanding rugby player, but equally as an outstanding person off the pitch. Family man, fierce loyalty to his friends. I always like that, especially with high-profile sports athletes, many of whom are overlooked in terms of their behavior off the pitch, off the court, with comments like, yeah, but he's a great rugby player, so we have to pick him. The fact that you can be that wonderful human being off the pitch says a lot about you as an individual, that you're a tremendous person off the pitch as you are on it. Congratulations to Eben Etzebeth. What a player. Wouldn't it be great if he could make it to the 2027 World Cup? What do you think? Can he make it? From my point of view, I'd love to see him take a year out from the Springboks, play for the Sharks, and have time off, really recuperate, and hopefully being given a good run and a really good opportunity to make it to the next World Cup. Now, some really harsh criticism. We've seen from Rassie Erasmus in the press conference earlier this week. Some really strange sound clips around Sasha Feinberg-Mngomezulu's potential attitude, being lucky in terms of his style of play to get those wins against the All Blacks. He's obviously been ruled out for a couple of months with a knee injury. He certainly looked like he was carrying something in that test in Cape Town. Are we seeing Rassie trying to bring a superstar down to earth and made it be known public that he's maybe not acted accordingly? It is strange. It does seem like quite a firm statement by Rassie. It should be interesting to see how this plays out over the next few months, and certainly in terms of the tour to the Northern Hemisphere at the end of the year. You would expect Sasha to be on the plane, certainly as long as he is fit. But maybe just a warning shot there by Rassie. Time will tell. Now, in terms of this game on the weekend, certainly I think it's incredibly important that a few players make statements in this test. I think the Springboks should be highly determined that Eben Etzebeth walks off with a W, with a win. We keep our unbeaten record in this year's Rugby Championship alive, and not just stumble over the finish line to win the Rugby Championship. I think Selwyn Morat, both physically in terms of concussions, but equally in terms of really stamping his marker down on the Springbok team. This is a big, big game for him. When you consider the volume of injuries the Springboks are experiencing at lock, when the Sneymans, Diagas, when those other options come back, is he going to be in the pecking order? This will be a huge game for him. He has the captaincy. This is a huge opportunity for him to shine, as it is for Ben Jason Dixon. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do this weekend. Look, tough 30-40 minutes against the All Blacks. Didn't really see a lot of the ball, let's be honest. The Springboks were defending for a large portion of that first half at Ellis Park. One little pop pass to Cobus Visa, which didn't go to hand. Tough call. I expect to see a big performance from him this weekend against the really tough loose trio, physical trio against Argentina. Marco van Staden should be an absolute caged animal this weekend. having narrowly missed out twice against the All Blacks. Late exclusion. He should be chomping at the bit. And again, this is a player that is trying to remain in Springbok contention. This is a huge game for him and his Springbok career, and not to necessarily put more pressure on him. I think it's just the reality of his age profile and the talent that we're likely to see come out of the URC this year that may put themselves into Springbok contention for the Northern Hemisphere Tour later this year. Malcolm Marx starts. In my last podcast, I did state, which I certainly stand by, that he is the greatest hooker to play the game. The modern day hooker, brute strength, unbelievable athleticism, gets over the ball, brilliant at the maul, brilliant at the breakdown. It should be interesting to see how long he plays. You know, do we, if it is a tight game, or if Argentina are within 5 points, do we see Rassie hold him out there 60, 65 minutes? I'm guessing that if South Africa are well ahead early in the second half, that young Hendrik Wessels will come on like the rest of the bomb squad early in the second. But it should be interesting to see that if Argentina are within a few points of the Springboks, does Rassie hold Malcolm Marx out for 5-10 minutes longer? What are your thoughts? Certainly the last time the Springboks were in Argentina, we played the Springboks in a kit similar to the jersey that I'm wearing at the moment. That sort of light blue, almost seemed like a training kit, to be honest, that we used in the World Cup. And what I remember from that day is two players really stood out for me in what I think was one of our best wins in Argentina. The execution that day in the lead up to the Rugby World Cup in 2023 was phenomenal. And two players were outstanding that day. One was Manie Libbok. I thought he controlled the game unbelievably well. I'm excited to see him getting on the pitch, albeit I don't like and don't see Andre Pollard as an inside centre. But Manie Libbok takes the ball to the line. He's one of the very few fly halves that South Africa have ever produced to take the ball to the line and throw the quality of pass that he's able to do. The ability to throw that flat pass and fizz it is unbelievable. He's one of the best passers, certainly in that position that South Africa have produced. And the other big performance was a chap who unfortunately is not going to be playing this weekend, which is Canan Moodie. So I was really keen to see him this weekend, given a tough performance against the All Blacks. He was certainly gun shy, not been playing a huge amount of rugby, only recently back from injury. Tough call. I would have liked to have seen him this weekend. He was outstanding on the same day. South Africa must improve the lineouts. We've been poor all tournament long, and Australia had huge success. Despite the whooping they got from Argentina, they actually managed to steal a fair bit of Argentina ball. So I'd really like to see a big improvement. Argentina, team that, for me, really likes to take the game to the trenches. And what I mean by that is, in particularly at the breakdown, there's always a stray foot, hand, head, getting in and around the ball, making the breakdown messy, and therefore laying a poor foundation for the attacking team. So it should be interesting to see. I thought game one against the All Blacks, they were absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. They came back from behind in that game. Game week 2, obviously they were still pissed up from the week before. Big bubble us. I think we all predicted it. Unfortunately, they didn't surprise us. They were non-existent in Game 2 against the All Blacks. They threw away the first game against the Wallabies, really. I mean, after a good start, credit to the Wallabies for coming back. But the ability or the lack of ability not to close that game out was almost schoolboy stuff. Almost schoolboy stuff. And to bounce back from 20-3 down and put 60 on the Wallabies, South Africa must be extremely vigilant that even if they are 5 or 10 points ahead in the second half, Argentina will still fancy themselves. I believe they've probably got a 3% chance of winning the Rugby Championship. They will be out to shock, surprise, and indulge the local fans in a big, big win. I'm expecting a huge performance from Argentina. I think it's beneficial that, given we've got inexperience coming on in the front row in Steenkamp and Wessels, that we've got the likes of Quacker Smith and the great Eben and Feinberg coming off the bench. I've got the Boks by 6. It's going to be a tough tussle. It's going to be in the trenches. The Springboks have come out on top. Right, and touching on the Bledisloe Cup, James Slipper makes his 140th appearance for the Wallabies this weekend. An incredible achievement. While the Wallabies may not be the team of the 90s, early, mid-2000s, to play 140 games for your country is an unbelievable achievement, especially for a front rower. Congratulations to him. Unbelievable stat is that 140 tests, James Slipper and the Wallabies have not hoisted the Bledisloe Cup. For me, this is a free hit for the Wallabies. That is the mentality they should be going in with. Because despite the All Blacks for the past 20 years retaining the Bledisloe Cup, it almost puts a little bit of undue pressure on the All Blacks. You don't want to be the team that gave the Bledisloe away. So if anything, I think the pressure lies with the All Blacks this weekend. What I am quite keen to see is the forward pack battle. Dare I say that I actually like the forward pack of the Wallabies this weekend. I think Angus Bell, injuries permitting, is one of the great front rowers in world rugby. He's got it all. He's a modern day prop, brilliant player, and his counterpart on the other end, Daniela Tupou, the monster that is. If those two boys can go 60 against an incredible Tyrell Lomax and Ethan de Groot, I'm excited by that, as well as the loose trio combination. Australia, I believe, have a lot of talent up front. If they can act in unison, I'm really excited about this battle. Where I'm concerned for Australia is the pivotal 9-10 combination with Noah Loisio and Nick White, the Jack Russell himself. Doesn't fill me with inspiration. That combination just does not fill me with a huge amount of confidence. Nick White has been around the tracks for many years. Of course, an absolute pain to rival fans, to Wallaby fans. But Noah Loisio, I'm just, from a defensive point of view, I just don't think he's quite up to it. I hope I'm proven wrong. To be fair to him, he has been really accurate with the boot. Off the kicking tee, they'll need him to be that this weekend as they build scoreboard pressure. Piasami at 12 is an interesting one. Certainly on defense, he can put in a big hit. Will we see some crash ball from him this weekend? I'm quite eager to see. And it's good to see a man that I saw on the streets of Sydney this week Marika Koroibete, the man is an absolute tank. He's got muscle on top of muscle on top of muscle. For the All Blacks, slightly disappointed, I'll be honest. Just in the fact that there is pressure, as I mentioned earlier, not to be the All Black team that has given away the Bledisloe, but surely there must be the confidence, the understanding that you must and should win this test. And what I mean by that is they should be trying out other options. The All Blacks are going on an incredibly tough European tour at the back end of the year. Surely you're trying out a different centre combination. Surely Beauden Barrett is having a run at 10. I just don't understand, for combinations that have been around during Fozzie's reign and now we're early into Razor's, that don't seem to be clicking. They've been given their due course. Why are you not trialling out different options? I'm surprised. Time will tell. The All Blacks should win this by 10. I would love it if the Kiwi, Joe Smith, the man who played a critical role in the All Blacks' journey to the final of the World Cup in 2023, has something up his sleeve. He will know this team intimately. It should be interesting to see what unique game plan he has in store for the All Blacks. And will we see a surprise? It is sport at the end of the day. The Wallabies mentality should be, we have nothing to lose. This is a free hit. Let's implement the game plan. If you remember, under Eddie Jones, an incredibly poor reign as Wallabies coach, Richie Mwanga was able to slot home a late penalty goal to beat the Wallabies. I've got the All Blacks by 10. I look forward to catching up with my post-game analysis. Cheers, everyone.